Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to another episode of Goodbye Bullshit, Hello Happiness. Today I have a very special guest, Daisy, that she's going to talk to us about her transformations. And before we get started, I just wanted to remind everyone if you are interested in any of my artworks for prints, go to my website under my wall art. You'll go to the print shop. And also, if you want any of the unicorn transform your life, choose to see magic. Um, we have mugs and sweatshirts and all sorts of things. So those are all on my Etsy shop. Yes, Daisy got hers on. Uh, my Etsy shop, you can also get the link from my website. Just go to shop and go to apparel. Daisy, good to have you today. Thank you for joining. We've been having technical issues. We've tried different apps and everything, and we came back here, and now magically, she put her magic sweatshirt on, and it's magically working. Thanks for being
Yeah,
here and putting up with all the technical difficulties.
of course.
So my question to everybody is, what bullshit did you have to say goodbye to say hello to your happy place that you have now?
Well, I think the most important thing that I had to say goodbye to was to not allow myself to have space for spirituality and to nourish that aspect of myself. I feel like at some point in my life, I decided that all I could do is to be a professional and focus on studying, and that by definition meant to just leave behind anything that was spiritual, like anything that didn't have like a logical explanation that you couldn't explain with a logical thought process, or that it didn't fit into the workplace, so to say. So um that's, I think, that the main point. Like, I really, in the beginning, when we started talking and working together, I thought, well, I'm here. I have really, I haven't figured out like why I got here, or something specific that I could think of that I needed to either say goodbye to or to welcome into my life. Because I think that for me it was both. Like, I had to say goodbye to that type of mentality of not having room for spirituality, but also welcome it into my life and make room for it, and let it be part of me too.
That's really nice. And it's very important because I think everybody gets caught up in their sort of, especially work environment, that you're professional. And I know your job, you're scientist and everything is logic. And then, when we're talking spiritual and we're talking, when you go inside and you experience all these things, it's more, like my favorite word, magic. So it's more things that are not tangible, things that are not logical, and things are just basically purely because it feels good in your heart. And so, what would you say was the biggest challenge to bring those two worlds together and sort of have them coexist?
Well, the biggest challenge was really realizing that I've always had both in my life. Because since I was little, I really fell in love with science. Like, I just wanted to learn more about how the world around me works, how things function, how do you understand them. Like, that was part of, like, from the very beginning. And I remember being very little. I don't remember what age, but less than 10 probably. And I said, I want to be a scientist because I do want to learn about that. But in the back of my head, I also just wanted to learn about everything. And to me, it was that feeling of awe and trying to understand the world around me that led me to trying to study science and but also at some point I studied science and philosophy because I did want to keep that, like, there was something in this sentiment of curiosity that also was trying to keep me open to, considering different perspectives on the same area. So I feel like when I was much younger, that was not coming, natural out of me. But then later in my life, when I became a more grown up adult, I decided, oh, if I'm going to be an adult and serious about having a career that is including science and everything around me, like there is no room for being spiritual. And at some point, I feel like I was not realizing or accepting the fact that that was something that was already there to begin with, and I just needed to recover it or remember how it felt like or re-embrace it. But it was hard because there were a lot of experiences that I had in my life, and there was a lot that I felt that it was on the line, right? Like I was worried, like, what is it going to happen afterwards? Like, if I allow now room for spirituality, does that mean I'm not serious about my job or the things I want to do in the future? And you know, it just, that it was just like having that thought process. I feel like it was more of a mental barrier, like a perception of how things should be. But also, at some point I was like, well, in a lot of experiences I had in the past, like at school, at work, and everything, and people also have their spiritual or religious point of view. Like everyone has, something else. Like, why can't I have that too? Right? Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
feel like that is like, and I don't, I just didn't, somehow, like, I ended up thinking, oh, I can't. But then I had to accept I could and others do it. But then I was also thinking I don't need to do what others are doing as well. Right. So it's like all of this that I'm telling you, that has been the most difficult barrier to overcome in the process, just having that shift in perspective and just changing the thought process that I had embraced for years. That really got me convinced that I was doing what was right for me. But in the end, it wasn't really allowing me to fully experience life, and just thinking that I had to be so rigid about having a perfect life that only had, what you can explain or include in your professional curriculum, just didn't allow me to experience the other, just it, not even experience, but just paying attention to what's around me. Like, didn't allow me to
Mm-hmm.
pay attention to the beauty of just being around nature, and you just sit there and just take a deep breath and see how beautiful is the sunset. That to me now, it's what I would call the spiritual part of life, and not just sitting there thinking, oh, I have so much work to do or I need to study. It's just allowing myself to have that moment of just not thinking about what I should be doing, but just embracing that specific moment that I am living right now.
Um, I think the key point is that we all get into those places that we let, I certainly growing up too, I became an engineer, and it was out of a necessity. First of all, I said I needed to take care of myself. I needed to be strong. I needed to be independent. And the only way I saw that was for me to have a career, a job that would allow
Mhm.
me that sort of the financial stability that I wanted, but also that financial stability and independence underneath it was that what I thought that identity too is going to give me that acceptance that I was looking for, that, love even that I was looking for. And sort of because, you know, this type of reality is not, it's becoming more popular. I think it's becoming more general, or maybe I've shifted to this side. So I meet more people that are more accepting of it. But it was just being able to release all those fears and anxieties and go internally to be able to accept myself, love myself, and allow whatever is me, because, we're just more than this job or this or that, all of it, to embrace all of it and bring it in. So, I think what you're saying is important. It's very similar to my experience of just go inside, love and accept all of yourself, and all those parts will come flow together once you get there. So you mentioned spirituality in your conversation. So what does spirituality mean to you? What is it? What do you identify as spirituality? Because I think it has a different definition for a lot of different people.
Right. I think that's the key, right? It is different for everyone, and spirituality, I think it's whatever you want it to be, and whatever helps you feel like you are being truthful to yourself, and that you are experiencing your life to the fullest. Like it's more like that aspect of having that state of being or and feeling good about yourself, whatever makes you feel connected to others, to the world around you, whatever you want to be connected to. It just, to me, I feel like you're being spiritual when you are embracing the or not embracing, but allowing yourself to have room to feel good about yourself outside of the rules that have been established, or what you've been told by your family, your society, or any religion that you were raised under. So it's just having that respect towards yourself type of thing. It's the
Mm-hmm.
way I can describe it. I don't think there is, like, to me, there is no real like textbook definition of what spirituality should be, because although I feel like everyone is unique, and that is actually one of the reasons why I like talking with you, and it's because it feels like there is room to just be yourself and not having that pressure of meeting anyone's expectations. Like, you don't even have to meet your expectations if you are trying to have a moment where you're embracing your spirituality. Thing is just that aspect that doesn't really have a logical explanation, maybe, that but that we all share. I feel like around us there is a lot of people that have their different faiths and religions, and different definitions of spirituality, and just that on its own is an entire universe of definition that fits everyone's perspective on it, because no one is going to have the exact same perspective of how they experience spirituality, even if they're under the same faith, right? So
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned my favorite topic. That, one of the reasons I started doing this show was, um, the rule book. That everybody has a specific rule book that they're carrying, and they've added rules throughout their life. But the interesting thing is, when they go look at that rule book, none of those rules in there is theirs. It was either passed down to them, society gave them, work life gave them, and but they're following this rule book for relationship, for everything, and none of it gives them that good feeling. None of them is theirs. And once you start letting go of that rule book and just go with each moment what is it right for me? What's right and wrong for me in this moment? What feels good or bad for me in this moment? And I like how you said, different perspectives. That's so true, that everybody in everything. I always say we're both right. I mean, we keep arguing about things, trying to make sure that the other person sees it our way or agrees with us so we get that validation. But the truth is that everybody can have their own perspective, just because somebody else has a different perspective doesn't mean yours is not true. Both are valid, because we can never be the same thing in the same moment in the same spot and look at it the same way. There's always going to be a difference, and which is what you said. If we are under the same religion, even, you have different perspectives and you're feeling it a little bit different. I like
Mm-hmm.
that. You also mentioned living your truth, speaking your truth. So what does that mean to you? How are you living your truth? What have you shifted to start living your truth?
That is a very good question. I'm glad you asked, because I feel like most of my life I've been like, I do have a very kind and vivid, I guess, personality in a way, but I'm also been very quiet most of the time, right? Like I especially in the group settings, like I come through as more like a shy person, and I've always, I don't know, I feel like I know a lot of people identify with me because there is a lot that's very common, right? Like just not having I guess, like, not feeling comfortable sharing yourself, or sometimes it's just something that you learn to do and you accept through your life, that you're told that you're shy, and you just feel like you are. And so right now, I feel like that's something I have been paying a lot of attention to, and I've been very mindful and purposeful about making sure I am allowing myself to be more outspoken, and just not saying what I think others want me to say or what others want to hear. But now that I have been more, I want to say, kind to myself by accepting that other spiritual or personality aspect to me, I've been trying to bring that into every aspect of my life by being more verbal about what I want to say. Because I feel like, at least to me, I think I got used to communicating in different ways. Like, for example, at work, I let my work to speak for myself. And I think that's amazing. And I think that everyone should have that aspect in their daily life. Like, for everything that you do, you communicate not just verbally, but by the things you create or the things that you do and your body language. But to me, I was mainly relying on that, and I wasn't really using my voice. And I'm still working on it. Not it's not like all of a sudden I thought, hey, I'm gonna be speaking, and now I'm all very talkative and, this charismatic person just saying everything perfectly. But I've been making sure to identify those instances where I remain quiet instead of stating my opinion, and trying to find the balance of, saying things when I feel comfortable about saying whatever I want to say, but also allowing myself to remain quiet when I don't feel comfortable speaking, and kind of navigating that balance between being sure that I am speaking up, but also I think that the speaking your truth is not just about saying words and saying words. It's also learning when you want to speak, and when is the time to say what you want to say, and when you're ready to communicate what you have in mind. So that's what I'm at right now. I feel like, and every day I'm just being very, very purposeful about it, and in all aspects of my life, even with my friends and family. Like, I feel like I I'm someone who doesn't, I don't like to hurt people around me. And I feel like every time someone is hurt, like I feel for them. So I feel like that also had a lot of impact in how I was communicating to others, like especially family. I feel like sometimes communicating with family or friends, it shouldn't be difficult, but in that effort of not helping, of not hurting others, we may be, shutting our own voice and not really being truthful to ourselves. So like that's something really just it just came to mind to me, the importance of just not I yeah, I felt right now. See, I'm losing my words because it just really it's more of a feeling, right? Just that conundrum of should I tell my family the truth or my friend the truth, or because I don't want to hurt them, but they also deserve to know the truth, and they also deserve to know something that may or not help them improve or change something, or maybe you just want to say how they're making you feel about the way they behave towards you, and you don't want to hurt them, but also you don't want to continue that pattern of not being truthful in your relationship with your family.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
that's what.
Nice. Um, and I love that you're being you. It's okay. We all lose our words. I've been talking and talking, and sometimes I have like these moments of like, I can't speak up. So it's all good. And I think everybody falls into that trap of they don't want to share themselves and speak up because of what you said, which was an important point, is that we don't want to hurt others. And it's part of that acceptance and fear as well. What if I say this and they don't want to be with me, or they don't like me, or they don't accept me? And the fear of loneliness comes up. And I've told you this. I tell all my clients, and probably on the show as well. And what I found out is that if we really change our perspective, change our behavior patterns, that we get into a place of recognizing and appreciating that everybody's perspective is different and they're both valid, and that I can only speak from my perspective, which then you start when you speak to others, you start with I feel, I want, I need, I see from my perspective. And when you talk in those terms, you're not really putting any blame on them. You're not saying, well, you did this and you went there and why did you? That's all pointing. And then when you do that, everybody becomes defensive because they feel attacked. But then when you're speaking from that I perspective, it sort of opens up and allows the other person that freedom, because, everybody walks around like this most of the time trying to protect themselves. But then when you approach them with speaking from your I place, it's like you're opening your arms and inviting them into that same space, and gives them the freedom now that they can speak their version of what's happening. And everybody, I think, comes together, and family, everybody starts to shift around you. I know it was true in my family once I started shifting and speaking from my I place and saying what's right or wrong for me and what feels good or not good for me. It's they're more accepting because it gives them that freedom as well to be themselves. And if they don't want to do something, they can easily now say, hey, listen, I said I was going to do this. Now I don't feel like doing it. And, for me, it's like, okay, that's fine. Whereas before everybody would try to do these things that, then there would be more conflict because we're doing things we don't want to do. And everybody's got their guards up. And now the fear and anxiety and the anger, everything gets smushed together in there. So Very good point there. Any last words of advice? I'm going to close off with some questions I have for you, some just fun questions so people get to know a different side of you as well. But any last minute word of advice for those people that are maybe starting out, or they're not in a good place, or they don't know what to do?
Well, that's a big one. I think that the most important thing is to always trust yourself and love yourself and never give up on yourself, because in my experience, anything that you experience in life is gonna give you something. You're gonna learn something from it. You either get your reward. It's gonna come somehow in very different ways. So it is important to keep going your path, you're making your decisions, and do what you feel is right for you, because at some point you're gonna figure it out, and there is a lot of people out there that is willing to offer help, and it's okay to have questions, and it's okay to have doubts. Like, to me, I still have my questions about everything, like the whole process, and I still ask myself, like, how am I going to bring what I'm learning into my like normal regular life, because that is it's not the same exactly. It's different, because we bring like a different aspect of ourselves to different areas of the life of our lives, but you figure it out, because everything that we do is practice and learning, and it's gonna lead somewhere, as long as you follow your follow your heart. I feel like it doesn't say a lot, but like what feels right for you, and that you are still being respectful and kind of others, and respectful and kind to yourself. Just, never give up, because a lot of people, I feel like it's normal and part of the human experience to have doubts, and feel sometimes bad about yourself, but that it doesn't have to be like that always, and that might just be a misperception that you have on yourself, because everyone has a lot to offer, and everyone has a lot of great things to bring out to life, and to do, so that they can also be great to others. So, and contribute to the world, because we all have an important part, and we are very important.
I feel like a proud mama. Very nice, very nice. Yeah, I'm not even going to touch that. That was perfect. Thank you. So now some fun questions before we close off. This is something I'm just going to be adding, I think, to some of the shows. So, what is your favorite color and why?
All of them. I feel
No, you
like
have
I
to pick
like
one.
more the colors. I like the purpley blues, or
Okay.
yeah, or
The purpley
teal.
blues, why?
I like the uh because they're very peaceful. Like, they have this, I don't know, I see purpley blue, and it just makes me think about the ocean, the water in the deep ocean, but also the sky in the evenings, and the sunsets and the mornings. So I feel like it's a color
Nice.
that is present in a lot of aspect of life, and it's really pretty.
Nice. What's your favorite word and why?
My favorite word. Hmm. I I guess I say I don't know a lot, but that's not my preferred my favorite word. Um, that's a good one. I'll say I feel love right now. It's my
All
favorite
right.
word to think of. It makes me think about how important it is to love yourself, and if you always get out of your home to have your normal life, thinking about loving yourself, and that was gonna help you have an easier time dealing with everyone around you, everything around you, everything that comes your way, because you're coming from a place of love and you love yourself, and it's easier to show love towards others and the things that you do. And even if people give you a hard time, you're like, well, I'm in a state of like loving myself, and I love myself so much, I'll be kind to them, so that, you know, we can deal with that defensiveness that some people have, or are projecting to our lives. So
Nice. And then the last question, if you had a superpower, what would it be and why?
superpower. Hmm. Um, I think it will be being able to process all information at the same time, kind of having like a way of observing or thinking about the same problem or that one thing, but from a lot of multiple perspectives at the same time, and understand them all as a whole, like all the multiple aspects, but like having like maybe a super brain.
Okay. And what is the super brain going to give you?
um it, but I have two answers to that. Like, one, it will help me just experience all and understand all, but also having in detail, but also having that individual perspective of every single component of it, just like understanding everything in detail, but also embracing the whole picture to see how everything ties together, and not just necessarily understand it rationally, but just being able to admire how things play around together and how everything comes around together. It's like the way I think about it is like if you were looking at a galaxy, and you can, you see that whenever we see a picture of a galaxy that has been taken by a telescope, you see all the light and all the components, right? But that's like the whole. So it's like you've seen that, but at the same time being able to admire and understand, all the solar systems there and all the planets and the life inside of the planets, and how everything works and how it interacts, but just keeping that integrity and appreciating the uniqueness of every component, but also seeing how it is all part of a whole. So that's
Nice.
my
Nice.
superpower.
Thank you so much, Daisy. Thank you for joining us today. It was wonderful to have you. And for everybody out there, if there are topics you want us to cover in the other shows, let me know, message me, or put it in the comments. And please, if you like these shows, if you like Goodbye Bullshit, Hello Happiness, subscribe, follow, and share either on podcast or on YouTube. Would appreciate it. Thank you guys. Love you all. Bye.